Hey everyone, in this video we're going to have a look at the recently revealed Toyota GR GT. So it's Toyota's first foray into the supercar world really since the Lexus LFA. We'll have a look at some of the key specs here of the car. There's no real driving reviews just yet, but we'll be able to have a look at the power outputs, the general philosophy behind the car, and exactly why they're doing it. So let's look at some of the key facts first. Toyota's first intention with this car was for it to be a road legal version of their GT3 vehicle. Their philosophy in terms of the design was very aerodynamics first, very strong downforce, as well as a very low center of gravity, so that it was able to basically corner as well as it can. And in terms of its powertrain, well, it has a 4-liter V8 engine paired with a single electric motor that's integrated into the transaxle. So it's a hybrid vehicle, but the hybrid approach is really just to ensure that there's less power dips in between gear changes and just results in better performance. So not so much from a fuel economy point of view, which Toyota has obviously been known for, but this should hopefully help the driving experience feel a little bit more smoother and a little bit more linear as well. It also has an 8-speed automatic, no manual transmission here, but that's probably the case these days with most higher end supercars where an automatic probably just does a better job in terms of faster gear changes. I think Porsche probably led the way with their PDK transmission, and now we're seeing Toyota follow suit as well. I think Toyota are just trying to optimize towards performance as much as possible because it is meant to be a race car for the road. It is front engine, it is rear wheel drive, so it should be quite fun in the corners, and it has have a 45-55 weight distribution front to rear. So it should be a little bit happy perhaps. We'll see with the driving reviews when they come through. So the Hot V configuration as well is being used for the engine. So one of the two turbos is actually positioned within the engine banks. So this leads to a faster turbo response. Allegedly, the improved packaging allows for a shorter engine bay, and then it could potentially lower the center of gravity as well, which seems to be a theme throughout this car. And as I talked about as well, the general styling, which we'll see, is very much aerodynamics first. So they focus on aero, then try to make it look a little bit nicer. And you can really see that. It's a very practical car that's very function first and then form. And the target output is around 650 PS or around 471 kilowatts, but this is nearly 15% more than a Lexus LFA. All aluminium body, Brembo carbon disc brakes. You've got Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, which are going to be obviously extremely sticky and good for cornering as well. And there's some other cool facts here around the vehicle stability control. It's been derived from the GR Nürburgring 24 endurance race vehicles as well. And we expect to see a weight of less than 1700 kilograms or 1750 and a top speed around 320 kilometers. It's also a pretty big car. It's quite long, around 4.8 meters long, to 2 meters wide as well. Yeah, a lot longer and wider than some of its competitors, such as the AMG GT. And pricing, we don't know yet, but people are saying 200 to 300K USD, which will be significantly more than the AMG GT, which is around the 100,000 range. With Toyota, they have a history of pricing their supercars. Think of the LFA at an extremely high price point. I think that they're bargaining on their real enthusiast base, especially the Toyota hardcore fans, to purchase this vehicle. Let's have a look at the exterior design now to start off with. We'll have a look here at the rear end first. It's a very wide car, as I mentioned, 2 meters in width. You can really see that here in the rear end, especially the full length tail lamp here, which has become a Lexus trademark. And you see a lot of this car has Lexus traits. I suspect even though it's branded as GR and probably the first standalone GR car, there's no real Toyota branding anywhere. You can tell that potentially at some point in its life cycle, it was meant to be a Lexus with some of the design traits. There's full length tail lamps here, even the cooling here vents, that kind of triangular shape really harks back to that Lexus LFA. Massive diffuser. This car really means business, and yeah, very much cooling first, aero first. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily beautiful, but it is functional and it does look quite intimidating, and it looks fast even though it's standing still. So I think if you were to drive behind this, for example, on a racetrack or even on the road, you would certainly have a bit of presence behind it. You can see the GT badging here. There's no Toyota badging. You got a GR badge here. Very much, I think, a soft launch for the standalone brand. And then you've got the side and front view. So on the side's a huge bonnet here, very much a cab back design where it's got a long, long bonnet. And then you've got air intakes here as well as an air intake on top of the bonnet too, very much cooling first. You've got these front headlights as well, which are very much, again, that Lexus-like. I even thought in the spy photos initially this would have some similarities to the Lexus LBX. And this could have potentially been the L-shaped DRL if they were to brand this as a Lexus here. And there's even a little bit of the spindle grille, you can see some trademarks of it. So I definitely think they were thinking of launching this as a Lexus, and then they decided, no, this is going to be a great opportunity to launch it as a GR brand and make it a standalone brand. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be something they're going to want to do long term, but at least for the short term, it really makes it clear that this is a race car brand or a sports car brand as well. Huge vents here again at the front and at the side. None of this is fake. It's all for practical purposes. Massive Brembo brakes you can see here. There's Michelin Sport Cup 2 tires. Then there's a real focus on aero. So there's a nice graphic provided by GR here that shows the aero. You can see the air coming through here, through the front fender here, off over the rear wheels as well, and then over the top as well. So very much to help the car with downforce, ensure that it's as capable as possible on the racetrack as well. The front end here is definitely very kind of simple, again, aero optimized, not too much going on, but because of the rest of the aero elements and general presence of the body, it probably doesn't need to be super detailed or super aggressive. The rest of the car kind of speaks for itself in this regard. Another nice graphic here is how low the driver sits. They're almost in a Formula One style position, not quite to the same extent where they're lying down, but very much that low center of gravity cornering focus here is what they're going for as well. And then you can see how it compares to the GT3 Racer too. So they actually haven't strayed too far from that car when it comes to the production model. Obviously, there's a lot more vintage going around here, especially on the front fenders, left and right. It's generally far more aggressive. You've got the side tailpipe here as well, and a massive, massive wing, which is very much for downforce and for cornering because it doesn't have to drive on the road. It's just very much focused on a racetrack. So I still think that even though there's some changes made here, it's a fairly similar sort of design across both vehicles, and they've done well to keep some of those traits here in the road car too. If you look at the kind of concept that it came from, so this was the G3 concept for a couple of years ago. It does look different in a lot of ways. They've definitely redesigned the front headlamps here. The tail lamps look very different, even though they're full length too. But the general philosophy of that long hood, short rear, the general stance and width, you see a lot of cars when going from concept to production lose those proportions. But I do feel that with this car in particular, that feeling, that effect of being a race car is retained in the production car. So they've done a good job here. And if you look at some of its predecessors here, so you've got the legendary 2000 here from Toyota. You've got the Lexus LFA, of course, too. Really no similarities from the front end, at least here. They're very, very different looking cars, but this is the next car in that line of supercars for Toyota. But what might be coming soon is this Lexus Sport concept, which has now been renamed to the LFA EV concept, which I think this looks a lot more similar, and by all reports, it shares a lot of its architecture with the new GRGT, but it'll just be EV first, which won't be the best news for people who love the sound and the thrill of the V10 engine in the original LFA. And I do hope they explore fitting in a hybrid powertrain into this vehicle, but I do love the design here. I think this is a little bit more of a classic GT aesthetic, classic feeling design compared to the very much race focused design of the GRGT. You'd love to see a petrol or a hybrid engine in this vehicle, but I think it looks like they might want to explore having this as an EV and potentially a solid state EV, which would be first for the brand and potentially in the world for a production car as well. Let's have a look at the interior now too. Typical Lexus, I would say. Even if there's all that design for on the outside, the interior is very much pared back and ergonomic and practical. Although we will see a few interesting details which perhaps aren't the most logical place to put certain things, to put it lightly. But we've got a huge center display here. I think that the LFA Pi that pioneered the digital display in the early 2010s, and of course every car has that now. But what is important when you do a digital display is, do the graphics explain everything in the way they should? Are they clear? Do they also match the theme of the vehicle? And you can see here, this feels very racy in its nature. It's quite a nice, clean UI with the speed up here, the gear selected, the RPMs as well, and then you got your fuel, temperature gauges, as well as your other kind of monitoring, tire pressure, etc. here as well. So I'm sure there's a few different modes that you can play with. It's got the new Lexus buttons here, which I think allow you to control the different modes within the screen, as well as perhaps even a heads-up display too. But very much a Lexus steering wheel. We've seen the steering wheel before, perhaps. Similar design here. This is the new ES. You can see they've taken their inspiration from that, but they haven't just pulled that across. I think they've tried to make that a little bit more racy. You can see the stitching here, the red center indicator as well to indicate when the steering is centered. Of course, when you're cornering at high speeds, you want to make sure you can center it again. Massive center display, but not too big, which is good. You've got physical hardware buttons for the temperature controls as well. Potentially, you can turn off traction control, maybe adjust some drive modes here. Looks like there's some lift control here as well to change the suspension setting, especially if you're going over bumps too. And you got, of course, it's automatic, so no manual gear shifter, but they've just got a very simple gear selector here too. What is strange though is the positioning of these USB-C ports. Seems like a little bit of an afterthought, especially if you're plugging in your phone or something like that. Where do you even put your phone? Does it just hang off? You have to open the glove box for that. Not entirely sure why they've positioned it there, but I guess it's nice to see them compared to them not being there at all. Also interesting here are the seats. So these are Recaro seats. I believe they're fixed to the chassis rather than movable. So the steering is potentially movable, similar to a lot of race cars. I think like the Ford GT has something similar going on, and a few different supercars as well. But these look nice. These look like they hug you, especially when you're cornering at high speeds, which you'd hope for. I have also seen in another video that there's weirdly cup holders here. Again, seems like an afterthought in terms of practicality. Seems like it would be a little bit fussy to sit with when you have cup holders in that position. So yeah, a little bit of a strange decision there as well. And then you've got aluminium pedals too. What is funny is that they've got these vents for the air conditioning, which they look cool, but where have we seen them before? We've seen them in the Lexus IS facelift. Pretty much identical, except that they've changed the color here to make this a little bit red. But I think we can excuse Lexus for pulling from the part bin in some areas of the interior, because most of it looks bespoke and this still looks cool as well. And it was recently redesigned, the IS interior, so it's not like something they've pulled out of an interior from 10 years ago or anything like that. But I think they've done a good job here overall with the interior. Most of the cars focus, of course, on its track performance and its general sporty feel. So as long as it's good quality and matches the feeling of getting to a 203,000 USD car, I think it probably does the job here. Overall, I think it's great to see Toyota back in that supercar echelon again. Toyota, throughout the last, say, 10 years, have really gone headfirst into bringing back their sports car lineup. So you think of the GR86, GR Corolla, GR Yaris as well, potentially a GR Emma 2 and Celica as well are rumored too. I think with Akira Toyota wanting Toyota to make exciting cars again, nothing says exciting like a full-blown supercar. So excited to see the first driving reviews of the car, but excited to hear more about this vehicle and what you think as well. Do you think Toyota have nailed the design? Do you think the specs match up to the price point that is rumored? Keen to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe.